Say goodbye to the mild weather.
Looks that way.
Thanks again, Pam, and thank you for watching us this morning.
We'll have an update on the news and weather at 7:25. I hope you'll join us then.
When you see news happen, call us at 280-9740. In Ames, 294-4333 or toll-free 1-800-858-5555. This is 5 TV.
Staten Island, New York. Good morning, America.
Sandra O'Connor.
That's right. No, it isn't. It's another one. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joan Lunden. It is Friday, January the 9th.
And I'm Charles Gibson, sitting in for David Hartman, who is off this morning. And, of course, this will be a big football weekend.
You bet.
Yep. Big
Giants,
win.
of course, are going to win, right?
Wrong-o.
We won't get into that. Who will be in the Super Bowl this year? Well, it's down to the Giants, led by Joe Morris here, as well as the Redskins. You know those guys, Charlie. Yep. The Browns and the Broncos. And this Sunday we'll find out. In a few minutes, we're going to get a little preview from two guys who know a little bit about football, Tony Dorsett of the Cowboys and Todd Christensen of the Los Angeles Raiders.
Yes, and with all apologies to the people from Cleveland and Denver and their great teams,
yes.
The big game is between the team that represents the nation's capital and the team that represents that little bit of swampland in northern New Jersey. A few people made a couple of bucks yesterday. The stock market finished at an historic high yesterday, over 2,000 for the first time. And we're going to ask our money editor, Steve Crowley, what it means to investors and to all of us. And Jackson Browne's new video is getting as much political attention as it is music attention. And we're going to find out why that is so this morning.
And also Linda Ellerby will be with us with her TGIF right now, though. It is 1 minute after, and Jeanne Meserve has the news for us. Jeanne, good morning.
Good morning, Joan. Charlie? Good morning, everyone. A preliminary Senate Intelligence Committee report on the Iran-Contra affair is now out. The leak to NBC News came on a day that President Reagan was released from Bethesda Naval Hospital after prostate surgery and returned to work at the White House. The report, described as sanitized by the CIA and White House, is said to make it clear that arms sales to Iran were intended to free U.S. hostages in Lebanon. The report says President Reagan seems surprised that money had been diverted to Nicaraguan Contras, but it sheds little light on the diversion itself. As Sheila Cast reports, a White House memo reveals more details.
A senior White House official confirmed that a memorandum sent to President Reagan supporting his January 17, 1986 decision to sell weapons to Iran connected the arms sale to release of the hostages. The memorandum promised if all the hostages are not released after the shipment of the first 1,000 weapons, further transfers would cease. But the official insisted most of the memo laid out exactly what the president said in his initial statement, that we are trying to achieve an opening to Iran. On ABC's Nightline, a committee member backed that assessment.
The beginning of this began as an opening of diplomatic relations. It did evolve into a way of getting the hostages out, but I can't say that that was the sole reason. They're still trying to keep the channels open.
A committee source said the more former National Security aide Oliver North got involved, the more the operation focused on freeing the hostages. North became convinced if we didn't get the hostages out with this, they would be dead, the source said. On the question of diversion of weapons profits to the Contras, the senior White House official said that when former National Security Advisor John Poindexter was confronted, he admitted he had been aware of a diversion, but felt sorry for the Contras and had not looked into it. The senior official also asserted that North never met alone or in a small group with the president.
White House officials argue that since Poindexter didn't know the details and North didn't have a chance to confer with the president, the committee report proves the president could not have known about diversion of funds to the Contras. That's why the White House wants the report widely released, even though it paints a picture of disorganization and distrust among those close to the president. Sheila Cast, ABC News, Washington.
In other news, Anglican church envoy Terry Waite says he will return to Beirut to try to free more U.S. hostages when Beirut's airport reopens. The airport has been closed because of heavy factional fighting in the city. Waite says his contacts in Lebanon are still good despite the U.S.-Iran controversy. Israeli warplanes this morning attacked suspected Palestinian guerrilla bases near the southern Lebanese port city of Sidon. Witnesses say there was heavy damage and that at least 2 people were killed. And there is a reported break in the investigation of last week's arson fire at the DuPont Plaza Hotel in Puerto Rico. The Washington Times says a hotel croupier has told federal investigators she saw who set the blaze. The witness is under heavy guard at a San Juan hospital. In economic news, for the first time ever, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has closed above 2,000 points. At the closing bell yesterday, the Dow stood at 2,002, having gained more than 8 points. And a new trade dispute may be brewing between the U.S. and Japan. Stephen Ogg has details in this morning's economic report.
Good morning. The nation's top trade negotiator says the Japanese may already be cheating on a new agreement involving semiconductors that was signed just last summer. And Trade Ambassador Clayton Yider says if the Japanese don't abide by the agreement, we'll consider canceling it.
And we're having some troubles with the Japanese right now in the third country market situation because we believe there is some continuation of dumping there.
The agreement calls for the Japanese to stop dumping unfairly low-priced semiconductors, not just in the United States, but in third countries as well. Yider says so far we've been discussing the problem with the Japanese.
If we do not find the Japanese willing to abide by their commitments in third country markets, we'll obviously at some point in time just consider canceling the entire agreement.
Yider gave his views in an interview with ABC News. Speaking of the Japanese, Honda says it's going to invest $450 million to expand its engine factory to Anna, Ohio. That means the entire engine and transmission for domestic Hondas will be made in the USA. Finally, Joan Stolenwerk, the head of the Allen Edmonds Shoe Company, a maker of upscale American shoes, says the Japanese are not only keeping American shoes out of the Japanese market, they're keeping him out of Japan's largest trade show for shoe companies. Stolenwerk says he and a colleague are going to show up anyway with 50 pairs of American shoes to try to crash the show. Wasn't that a kick? The economy this morning.
Stephen, thanks. Checking the foreign currency markets, the dollar closed up today against the Japanese yen. In Europe, the dollar is up against the West German mark, the French franc, and the British pound. In London, the morning gold fixing was down 5 cents an ounce from yesterday's close in New York. Taking a look ahead at some of the events coming up on today's news calendar, President Daniel Ortega signs Nicaragua's new constitution today. Delegates from 13 nations will be on hand, and opponents plan a protest march despite a ban by the government. Disneyland today opens its new theme ride called Star Tours. Riders can chase intergalactic bad guys in the ride that Star Wars director George Lucas helped create. And this evening on World News Tonight, Peter Jennings profiles our Person of the Week. Finally, when it comes to Grammy Award nominations, Steve Winwood definitely is not singing the blues. Tom Shell explains why.
It was a day for the relative old-timers as the 1987 Grammy nominations were announced. Veteran Steve Winwood, who never gained a nomination before, nearly stole the show, topping the field with 5, including Record of the Year, Higher Love. 3 artists grabbed 4 nominations each: Peter Gabriel, Paul Simon, and jazzman Wynton Marsalis. All of Simon's nominations were for his album Graceland. Peter Gabriel's Record of the Year mention is entitled Sledgehammer. Veterans Dionne Warwick and Barbara Streisand each got 3 nominations. Others in the running for Record of the Year: Robert Palmer for Addicted to Love, Whitney Houston for Greatest Love of All, and Janet Jackson, Michael's sister, counts Album of the Year among her 3 nominations. We'll find out who wins this year's Grammy Awards on February 24th. Tom Shell, ABC News, Hollywood.
And that's the news at 7. Coming up at 7:30, Iran is dealt a major defeat in its war with Iraq. Joan, Spencer?
All right, thank you, Jeanne. Right now, it's 8 minutes after this. Some white stuff headed our way, isn't there?
Oh, boy. We might even have snow for the big Giants-Redskins game on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, it's expected to start here in the new... I hear Charlie snickering over there on the side. Swampland, how dare you? Let's stroll over to the map. I'll show you what's going on here. That's right. I understand the Redskins are having their checks diverted to some rebel group. Here's a look at today's jet stream map. The 3 C's, no, they do not stand for cloudy, convoluted, and calamitous. They stand for clear, calm, and cool. That's what's going on out here in the western part of the nation. We still have this dip of storminess here in the central part of the country, mild in the southeast, dry up in the northeast. The outlook calls for dry weather to continue today in the extreme eastern part of the country. Also, nice, pleasant weather from the western portion of the plains all the way out to the Pacific coast, but the trouble spot is right here in the nation's midsection in the central Mississippi Valley. We've got heavy snow developing right now from about Wichita up towards St. Louis. This is all moving northeastward. Then we've got some heavy rainfall just south and east of that area of snow down into the southern Mississippi Valley. And here's what's going to happen as we push into the weekend. That area of precipitation is going to push towards the Atlantic coast. That means some wet weather for the Giants-Redskins game. Wet of some sort, either snow or rain on Sunday. Heavy rain along the mid-Atlantic and South Atlantic. Some snow over the Ohio Valley and up into southern New England. Most of the central part of the country will look great, though. And then by Sunday, that precip will still be hugging the Atlantic coast, but it'll be giving way, though, to some clearing skies pushing in, and an area of precip will have begun to develop in the northwest. That's a quick look at the nation's weather. Here's what's happening in your hometown area.
Good morning, everyone. This is Pam Dale from the 5 TV Forecast Center with a white forecast for central Iowa. We can expect cloudy skies today with snow developing, accumulations of 1 inch or less are possible with a high of 33 degrees, and winds becoming northwest at 10 to 20.
And that's a look at our weather for this half hour. Charlie?
Thank you, Spencer. It is now 10 minutes after the hour. If you want to get some errands run, you might as well do it on Sunday because most of us will be staying home and watching football. It's NFL Conference Title Day, Game 1, 12:30, I believe, if I'm not wrong. That'll be Cleveland and the Denver Broncos in the American Conference Title game. After that, the Washington Redskins will go against the Giants in the National Conference. The winners head for the Super Bowl 21, 2 weeks later. With us this morning for a look at Sunday's matchup, tight end Todd Christensen of the Raiders. He joins us from Los Angeles, and from WFAA TV in Dallas, running back Tony Dorsett of the Cowboys. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
Todd, let me start with you. Let's talk about Game 1, Broncos,
okay.
Browns. The keys for each team. Let's start with the visiting team. They're a slight underdog, the Broncos.
Well, one of the major keys is going to be the health of John Elway. He suffered an ankle injury near the end of the first half, and while he was able to come back and play and finish out the game, you never know how effective he's going to be the next week. His mobility is one of the keys to their being successful in creating a lot of the big plays that happen out on the field, and I think that if he's fully healthy, he's going to be a real problem for the Cleveland secondary. On the other hand, the pass rush that Denver generates has been something that's been very effective over the last couple of weeks and has put a lot of pressure on a team that last week, I believe, threw the ball 64 times.
Yeah. And how about the Browns?
Well, I look for the keys of the Brown. Obviously, if Kozar is going to be as effective as he was last week throwing the ball downfield. I think nonetheless, if Denver's able to force him to throw over 60 times, then they're going to be in good shape. But he was quite effective. He threw for nearly 500 yards, as I recall. Also, the fact that, their defense has been playing quite well, and they've been putting some rush on the passer as well. But I think another key is going to be Mark Mosley. He was 3 for 6 last week, and he didn't kick very effectively. In fact, missed a 20-some yarder in the overtime that could have won the game for him. So in a close game like this, you're going to have your kickers playing well.
All right, those are the keys in the American Conference. Tony, how about the National Football Conference? Let's start with the Redskins. What are the keys for them, do you think?
Well, in my opinion, Jay Schrader no doubt has to have an outstanding football game. Jay is a very young quarterback for the Redskins, but still yet, it's going to take an outstanding game on his part, getting the ball into the hands of Hart Monk and the other receiver Clark, because those two guys could make a lot of things happen out there on the football field.
Yeah, and the defense, of course, had a pretty good week against Flutie last week, but they got a more experienced quarterback this time.
Well, yeah, I think, what Dexter Manley is able to do with Brad Benson, Brad Benson handled Dexter pretty good the last time they played, so if Dexter's not involved in the defense some type of way, putting pressure on Phil Simms, then they're going to have problems.
And how about the New Jersey Giants? How about that?
The New Jersey Giants.
What are the keys for that?
Well, no doubt. I think Phil Simms is by far having the best game. He's playing the best football of his career.
Good year, too, yeah.
I think if Phil continues to play at the level he's playing right now, no doubt they're going to be a very tough team to beat. Also, their defense. Lawrence Taylor, I think the last time they played had, 4 sacks, I think, against Schrader. And if Lawrence is, they can't contain Lawrence and contain him somewhat through the course of the ball game, he's going to create a lot of havoc with those other linebackers they have out there and make it real tough for them.
Well, and of course, the Redskins have had a real problem stopping the Giants' running game. Joe Morris has had a great season, but boy, has he torn up the Skins.
Well, yeah, Joe has had a lot of success against the Washington Redskins, and if little Joe is able to get it going on the ground with Phil Simms throwing it through the air, then it's going to be a long afternoon for Washington.
Yeah. Okay, those are the keys. Now let's go back to what you think is going to happen. Todd, let me start with you. How do you see the game breaking up? Who's going to be the most successful with the keys that you talked about?
Well, despite the fact, Charlie, that a lot of people have the inclination to go towards the home team. I know that it's been said that Cleveland's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. And so as a result of that, I think people are loath to play in Cleveland. But the fact is that the cold weather, the fact that it's on a grass field, are going to be factors that are not going to be a problem for Denver coming in. I think that if Elway is healthy, and the fact that their secondary, I think, is going to be much more effective against Kozar than New York's was, I like Denver's chances in this, and I look for them to upset the Browns.
You don't think Cleveland can run on them?
I don't think so. Denver, for a long time during the season, Charlie, was #1 against the rush in the AFC, and I think that's something that, with Biner out, Kevin Mack is going to have to carry the workload, and I don't think he can do it against the Denver defense. Okay, Tony, your team played both the Giants and the Redskins twice this year, and actually you beat both of them this year, didn't you, as I come to think of it?
Sure
Dallas
did.
had a win against each of these teams. Where do the breakdowns come in that game, do you think, and who wins?
Well, you know, I'm leaning more towards New York right now. I think New York is probably playing the best football of anybody in the National Football League right now. They kind of somewhat remind me of the Chicago Bears team of last season. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and once again, I think if Phil Simms goes out and has an outstanding day, and Little Joe's able to get things going on the ground, it's going to be tough. You know, New York, the city's very hungry for a championship team and waiting to get into the Super Bowl. So Washington, no doubt, I think is going to have the best game of the year, and they're going to have to control their defense of the New York Giants.
All right, let me flip it a little bit, Tony. Who do you think will win the AFC game, Cleveland or Denver?
Well, you know, as much as, you know, I hate to say this, you know, I'm a big fan of Dan Reeves, who was an ex-coach here, but, you know, Cleveland, no doubt, is extremely hungry, I think. They're going into a city that's begging for a Super Bowl team, and I think it's going to be tough for Denver to come in there and beat the Browns right there in their own backyard.
Okay, we got a difference in the two of you. Tony going with Cleveland, and
Tony, what are you talking about, man?
Hey, Todd, how do you see the NFC game?
Hey, what does this guy know? He's a Dallas Cowboy, right?
How do you see?
I was too for a little while, for a whole year.
How do you, Todd? How do you see NFC?
Well, I think that I'm inclined to pick against the Giants because they cut a very good running back from BYU back in 1979, who went on to be a Raider. But hey, I bear no grudges. The fact is that they look like a real juggernaut to me, Charlie, and I like them as a favorite all the way. They're playing very well. And I think that they look to be the team to beat come not only this Sunday, but in Pasadena as well.
All right, Todd, Christensen, Tony, Dorsett, thanks, both of you, for being with us. 2 picks for the Giants and 1 each for Cleveland and Denver. Take care, guys.
All right.
Now, 16 minutes after the hour, the stock market. How high is up? We'll be talking about that after this.
For everybody who loves waltzes, here is the famous orchestra whose waltz records became giant hits all over America. Their beautiful waltzes like this helped sell over 100 million records. And now, here are the waltz favorites of the beloved Guy Lombardo Orchestra.